Boys, look at what we got here. We have former producer Larissa Michelli Boyle in the house.
Woo!
Right.
Thank you.
Larissa was, of course, in the trenches with us as the show scaled and reached worldwide. She's going to give us the ladies' perspective of what it was like working on the show. And also, you brought your ASMR stylings, right?
Of course I did.
Oh, excellent.
Tick,
And later,
tick,
we're going to catch up with former Playmate, radio host, and living firecracker Tiffany Granath. Tiffany was a favorite friend of the show and filled in as an occasional co-host. She was there when I lost my wild on virginity, as were you, Larissa.
Yes.
She'll give us the skinny on what it was like working on the show, working for Playboy, and her favorite show moments. So buckle in, stow your luggage, because it's about to get wild.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
This is The Untold Story. The behind-the-scenes mayhem, the chaos the viewers never saw, and the unforgettable tale of the most infamous travel show of its time. This is The Wildest Show on Earth, the rise and fall of Wild On.
All right, the year was, we're looking at 2000-2001 now. The show is gaining in global distribution and acclaim. Maybe not acclaim, but it was definitely growing. People were very aware of it. Doors were opening, budgets expanded. Paul, thanks to you, he got that budget from, I think, $25,000 to $30,000 per episode. We're getting more exotic locations, it felt like. Everything was kind of growing. And we started working with partners, with liquor brands, Hawaiian Tropic. I definitely had a trip sponsor, I'm pretty sure, by Drug Cartel, Panamanian businessmen. And one of those was Playboy. Playboy, we definitely started doing a lot of stuff with Playboy. I think in large part to you, Larissa.
Yeah.
You were definitely driving that train. And, you became good friends with those people and Tiffany. It felt like we were no longer chasing the event. And, we were brought into the party. Actually, we kind of became the party, is what it felt like. We were kind of a cultural event upon itself.
People knew who we were when we showed up places.
For sure.
Yeah. It was, as we've mentioned before on other episodes, it was the highest rated show on E! And we came on at midnight, and it would pull like a 1.0 share, and there was global awareness because there was E! Latin America, and it would show Wild on airplanes as interstitial programming and in other countries. So, yeah, when we would land somewhere, people knew who we were and knew who Brooke was and the whole Wild On brand. Yeah.
How did you get into Wild On, and what was that experience like working in Wild On as a woman on a very titillating show?
Well, the funny thing was I was working on Stern, Howard
really?
Stern, right before I came to Wild On. So I was in the titillating category.
Right.
No pun intended. So Scott Woodward asked me one day, he's like, hey, would you be interested in working on Wild On? I'm like, oh, yeah. I mean, I would always walk by their desks, and no producer was ever there because they were on the road. And I'm like, this looks like fun. Sign me up.
Right.
So I said yes. And my first show was with Jules Asner, which was her last show. Mm-hmm. So that was my first show. It was literally like a 2-day trip to Hawaii. So very mellow, it was so, I'm like, this isn't very wild, until I saw a cameraman's junk pop out of his shorts during a shoot. I'm like, okay, well, that's a little wild. But it wasn't real wild. And I'm like, okay, well, I can handle this. And then when we got Brooke as our host, and we really started like doubling down on the Wild On, we had Todd, we had Art. I mean, it was like all hands on deck. I felt like it went from cool, pretty Jules doing like stand-ups kind of by herself to like, bring everyone in. Let's do this. Bring them all in. And then it got crazy.
Back up that dump truck of Jell-O shots, please.
Yeah.
We need, but going back to when you said you worked for Howard Stern, so like for those unfamiliar, Howard Stern came on at 11 o'clock on E! It was like the E! After Hours block. It was Howard Stern at 11, which was the televised version of his radio show. And then Wild On would come on at midnight, and they were often pulling the 2 highest ratings of the day. And so for Howard, you could explain it better than me, but they would do a condensed version of his 4-hour radio show, right, distilled down to 1 hour with usually the most titillating interview and,
Yes.
With a little remote cameras in his studio from New York, right?
Yes.
And it was like kind of a juggernaut. It was a big deal at the time,
It was
right?
huge.
And what did you do in that capacity
I was
from
the
LA?
producer. I was the LA producer, so we had to cut down 4 hours of footage into like 40 minutes, and I have never laughed so hard in my life. We got in trouble, actually, from Fran Shay's secretary. It was Lisa, because we had this at Halloween when you buy like these Halloween ghosts and you walk by them and they'll like, if you walk by it, it'll knock, or if it hears a noise. I was laughing so hard in my office. I was like one of the only people in the office. I had another writer with me, and we were laughing so hard this stupid ghost would knock on Fran Shay's office all day. It would go, woo, and it would knock on her office, and we got in trouble, so we had to take the ghost down. But working on Stern was the funniest time of my life, because it was just, it was grueling because you had to cut it down, and you were editing almost every night, long shift hours. But it was a fun show. And every time I would go into rights and clearances, it was always about like, does that baloney cover enough of her ass, or do we need another piece? It was always like some really raunchy.
Yeah. We were there were. I remember it was like almost being called to the principal's office when you had to meet with standards and practices to see what can go in Wild On, or in your case Howard Stern, and what can't.
Yeah.
And then kind of debating with them like, well, you can't really see the crack. I mean, that's not nipple. No, that's just how
Right.
And they'd say like, well, the areola. Like I'm learning words that I hadn't known before about what was even acceptable, and some things could pass, like if it was body painting on a naked body at Key West, Florida, and these people are nude, and the women in particular, if they were body painted, spray painted on, it was okay.
Yeah,
to
that
show
was okay.
nudity
That was
because
cleared.
somehow the paint covered up the fact that it's
She's
not
naked.
their actual skin and that they're actually naked. But then a skimpy bikini, it's like, well, you got to mosaic that. I'm like, really? But the body paint was okay. I could never quite figure it out, but
Right.
yeah.
But for you, though, being a female, I think, we did this very exotic show. For you, it was probably easier to get those interviews because I think women were not threatened.
Women trusted us. I mean, they really did. And it's almost like if you had a female producer, you were like, come on, join us. You were almost like the Pied Piper. Like girls would come up, and a lot of times, honestly, they thought we were Girls Gone Wild, even though we weren't.
Right.
And we did some shoots with Joe Francis, so it was kind of like a blurry line, but they really wanted to be part of the action. And I think they felt safe, like if a female producer was like, yeah, okay, all you girls get over here, you're just going to say, let's get wild on Aruba or something. Right. And they would do it. Like if you were a friendly producer and you had a T-shirt or anything, people would do anything to be on camera. I mean, I felt that people wanted to be on camera so bad, and they loved Brooke. Like Brooke was so kind and so nice to everyone. We had a fun crew, like Adam and Jason, our camera and audio. We always had like fun PAs. It was literally like a fun party you wanted to be a part of.
For sure. Yeah. And also our hours were just odd. You had to find a cool crew that's willing to do a shoot for maybe 3 or 4 hours during the day, and then willing to go out at about 2 a.m. at night till 4 a.m., and be cool with it, because there wasn't really union rules during that.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that. You're right. We would never get away with that today. You'd have to have 2 separate crews.
Yeah.
Well, they would sometimes mention the union rules, like we got a break, after 6 hours for lunch, but they're having so much fun. They'd say like, don't worry about it. We'll go the extra hour. We're not going to charge you or as an infraction.
Right.
So, you'd find those crews who were very amenable, and you try to work with them as much as possible.
Well, and as producers, sometimes we would be like, we get done shooting a club at like 2 a.m. and then we're like, oh God, we've got to shoot at 8 a.m. I mean, I was like the queen of Ambien.
Yeah.
There was a flight to Jamaica, and I'm like, I need to sleep on this flight. Tiffany, or not Tiffany, there were 2 other hosts on it, and Hoyt was one of them from Playboy. And we got our own rows, right? Because there was hardly anyone on this flight. Hoyt and I are eating. I pop an Ambien. I wake up like 7 hours later. I had fallen in my food. I had a butter pad on my cheek. I literally had fallen asleep in my food, and no one even bothered to like pick me up and dust me off. It wasn't until the flight attendant was like, "We're landing," and I had food all over my face. But yeah, you had to sleep when you could.
Was it empowering? Was it kind of scary? Because we were put into some wild environments, some very scary environments. I had my life. I talked about this in one of the episodes. My life was threatened in New Orleans. What was it like for you traveling?
That's interesting.
Or were you just too young to kind of really be like, oh, this is dangerous?
It was fun, but the first time I realized it could be dangerous, I was in Mexico and we were shooting Spring Break, and I'm filming, and all of a sudden I felt like something wet on my shoulder, and I'm Like, what is, we're filming and I'm not paying attention to it. And then finally, God, I forgot who it was, who my AP was at the time. She's like, Larissa, she's like poking me. This guy is licking my back. He is licking my back up my shoulder. And I freaked out. I grabbed a loose brick and I'm like, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you if you lick my back again. And I was like, I was ready to like stone a guy because he was licking my back. But
And now they're married.
no, yeah, that was, no, but it was kind of scary because we were such small crews
Right.
that at nighttime, if you were shooting a club and someone's like, hey, run back to the car and get me this or that, you were kind of on your own. You were running. I mean, I'm not going to say I was scared for my life all the time at all. It was fun, but there were times when you were like, oh, wow, I am in a foreign country and I'm walking back to a car alone at night. It's like 1 a.m. and I'm going to go get a battery, which is,
Right.
probably not the smartest thing to do, but.
Right. And then how did you get involved with Playboy? How did that come into the picture? Because I feel like you were the kind of the first.
Yeah, Sean said you were the queen of trade outs also.
Yes,
The
yes.
queen of
Yes.
many things.
Always
Queen of
good.
trade.
Always good lodgings with Larissa.
Yes.
Always had a suite with Larissa.
I had a way of making people give us stuff for free.
Nice.
I loved it. And still translate to this day, getting people to donate to schools. But anyway, Playboy, they had actually done a shoot. I think Tiffany's first shoot was with Heather Feldbaum.
Okay.
And she went to Switzerland. And that was the first shoot they'd ever done. And Scott said, do you want to use Playboy again? And I met Scott Barton at the time. And he and I became close friends. And I'm like, we're going to go everywhere together. And I had seen Tiffany's little piece that she did in Switzerland. And I'm like, and if we can't have Brooke, I want her. I want this girl. She was so lively. She was so energetic, so wild, just fucking wild.
Yeah,
Like
she was
would
really
do
dynamic.
anything. And so Scott and I became really close, and Tiffany and I became close. And every time we could not get someone to fill in, like we would use Playmates, but a lot of times the Playmates were very guarded and they didn't really want to say too much on camera. And Tiffany was a Playboy radio host, so she could let anything.
Night calls.
Night calls.
That's
So
right,
she
yeah.
let anything go. So that's how we got in tight with Playboy. And then from there, like I would have meetings all the time. Like we met with Patron Tequila one time, and the exec who owned it at the time, he's like, how can we make Patron really stand out? I'm like, well, we're doing a trip to Italy this summer. And he goes, oh, that'd be nice if we could have Patron on there. I go, yeah, what would really make it stand out is a yacht. Like, we should get a yacht, the Patron party yacht. He goes, really? You think that'll work? And I'm like, heck yeah, let's get a yacht. So he chartered a 150-foot yacht, and we were on the yacht,
Nice.
Patron party yacht.
Do you have? So I think I did 3 trips with you. I did Vegas. We did a Hawaiian Tropic
Oh,
thing.
we definitely did Vegas. Yeah.
And you always got great comps in Vegas. And we did Thailand together.
Yes.
And our
Park City, right?
and Park City.
Yeah.
But our Thailand trip, we brought out Joe Francis. And well, in Thailand, you had, they were very strict about what you shot. And we always had a guide with us, if you remember. And you couldn't disparage like the king and queen of Thailand. They had very strict rules. They didn't want anything too sexy. But so we brought, I think, Joe as a means, because he brought some girls with him.
Yeah.
And actually, one of them was like a former Miss Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And
We're like, bring us your tamest.
yeah, pretty much. And Joe was Joe. He's
Yes.
a lot to handle. Just creepiness kind of all around. And I did beat him in tennis. Because he was taking tennis lessons. Very proud of that accomplishment.
And I bird shit on him, didn't it?
Might have.
Yes. We were eating lunch.
Right.
And this bird just right on his head.
Oh, that wasn't a good omen.
No.
But we went to the full moon party. This is a question I always want to ask you.
Oh, God.
So we went to the full moon party, and they brought 2 extra security guards with us. We were staying in Koh Samui, and you had to take a boat from Koh Samui to Koh Phangan. And these full moon parties are straight out of The Beach when Leonardo DiCaprio, like guys with like fire, sticks and, a whole show. It's just very tribal, it feels like, when you get there. And if you remember, there was a terrorist attack in Bali like a few weeks before.
Yes.
So people are blowing off fireworks, and it's kind of uneasy. But we pull up onto the beach, right as I get 1 foot in the water, this guy comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, do you have a mushroom shake on you?" And I was like, "Mushroom shake?" I think that was a big thing at the full moon party. I was doing mushroom shakes, and I'm with like these two security guys and a representative from the government. I was like, "No, no, no, no." But so you got ill.
I got so
I
sick
put that
that
in
night.
quotes because I wasn't sure. I'm like, is Larissa imbibing on the mushroom shake?
No, I
Okay.
think someone slipped me. Now that I know more about the full moon parties, I think someone slipped me something. I don't know if I had a drink, but
you were freaking
was
out.
deathly ill. I thought I was going to die that night, and you were nowhere near a hospital. You had to take a boat. We had to take a boat like
Yeah,
3 hours back.
Yeah, because I lost you guys, and then, like fireworks going off, dragging this crew around, and I'm just trying to get a semblance of like, all right, let's get this shoot together,
Yeah.
And I couldn't find you, and eventually you found it, and you were like you were having a hard time.
I think I was in the boat, like laying on the
Oh
bench.
yeah, you were in a bad way.
That the full moon party reminded me, and I don't know how it is now because I'm not one of the younguns, but
Yeah.
but that was a big deal then.
It was huge.
And I remember I was going to do a shoot for the British Virgin Islands and throughout the Caribbean, Barbados, like Wild on the Caribbean. And I remember Scott saying like, "Hey, see if you could find a full moon party," because every place somewhere around the world had them every full moon somewhere,
Yeah.
Thailand, and it turns out the British Virgin Islands had them. And so I booked a shoot around a full moon party at Bomba's Surfside Shack on Tortola Island. Population like 1,500 or whatever, like maybe a little more. But we went there. We had to take a boat there, driven by like this 12-year-old kid who almost like got us stuck on a sandbar. Just getting there was an adventure. And then we got there, and there's all these people from around the world celebrating the full moon party. I'm like, this is great. Fire up the cameras. Let's go. And Bomba comes out to greet us. And this was when Jules Asner was still the host. She's like, I don't know about this. She's always very tentative anyway. And Bomba instantly says, Jules, with his like almost like Jamaican accent, he's like, if you want to be here, you have to be initiated in the club. Panties off. They go up on the rafters. And she's like, what? And we didn't know this was going to happen. And it went downhill from there.
No.
And,
no panties on the rafters. I think.
Well, no, she did it.
She did?
She was game, and she got up on stage and danced with him and with Bumba, who looked like a human version of Jabba the Hutt. But he had a way with the ladies, and he would like, let's just say he got up close and personal with a lot of them, and the boyfriends of these girls loved it. They're like, yeah, go for it. They're like shooting pictures, and the whole thing was very icky. And by the end of the night, I couldn't even interview anyone because they're just off in like another land. They've all imbibed the Bomba's punch, which was basically magic mushroom tea.
Right.
And the whole thing was built out of like plywood and like driftwood.
Right.
I think it got destroyed by the hurricanes like 8 years ago. I like looked it up.
Okay.
Those terrible hurricanes.
Wow.
But yeah, it was wild. It checked every box pretty much, except for incoherent guests toward the end. But that was part of the segment.
Sure.
And so she signed her underwear, put it up on the panty row, and probably got blown off by this hurricane, like 20 whatever. It's very weird. But yeah, full moon parties were a thing, and that was an instant segment right there.
Yeah.
Find me a full moon party.
The other thing we didn't put on camera is you, me, and Cindy. So Cindy Taylor became. This was after Brooke left, and Cindy Taylor was our new host.
That was our first shoot.
First shoot, I think.
First shoot, yeah.
And so you, me, and Cindy, we went to Patpong, which was the red light district. And, we're like, let's check this out. And when you go there, it's a little like corridor. It's actually a pretty tight corridor that you walk around. And there's an upstairs and a downstairs. But everybody's got a menu out. And you could look at the menu and see what they're offering, basically. Like,
Yes.
what's the show of the day?
And it's not food.
Yeah, it's not food. It is not food. Although, the show we saw, so we walked into this place. One of the acts was a couple having sex on top of a giant birthday cake. You remember that?
I don't remember.
They were rolling around on top of a giant birthday cake.
Were there candles?
I can't remember the candles. It's just like a big cake. It's like cake everywhere. The whole thing was just gross, though. I think we stayed for like 2 acts. And then
Did Cindy have her little rosary out?
I don't remember.
Her rosary. She had a little
Yeah.
rosary she had on the airplane, and then she would take it places if she felt like afraid or something. So she's
Well,
probably-
they went. So we were like, let's get the fuck out of here. This is just gross, every aspect of it. And I don't remember the other acts, but we're trying to get out of there, and they wouldn't let us leave. They were,
That's right.
yeah, they were like,
That's
no, you
right.
guys stay. They were just like angry that we were leaving, and we're like, no, this is disgusting. Yeah, that's why I tell people it's disgusting. I can't, it couldn't possibly. Yeah. Yeah. Were there any trips for you that are just super memorable or weird, crazy, that just stand out to you?
Oh my God, every single one of them. I mean, Croatia was pretty
was
crazy
great.
because the first time I did that, I did it with Adam and Jason.
Who were
and
a
they didn't
cameraman
even-
and sound.
Yeah, cameraman and sound, and they wouldn't even send a host because they were like, "Is it really safe?" So that was just a blur. We, our translator was also our driver, and he was driving like 100 miles an hour everywhere. So we're like,
Jesus.
okay, let's drink Travarica shots before we get in the car so we don't remember this ride. Jamaica was one of my first trips with Tiffany. I arrive in Jamaica, and we're at Hedonism. It's a club called Hedonism.
Oh yeah, I remember
Yeah.
Club
I'm
Hedonism.
I'm just a
Yep.
real, young producer going to Hedonism. I'm like, okay, yeah, it seems like it's free. They
People would
give
jump
us
off
free.
cliffs there.
Is hedonism
Yeah.
still a thing? They still have
They
it?
still
There
have
was
it.
3 of them.
Yeah.
I remember going to a couple of them.
But I mean, is it still? I would assume so.
I believe it's
yeah,
still
it's basically an adults
So
only.
I
Yeah.
arrived
Swingers.
late. It was late. It was like 11 o'clock at night, and I'm brushing. First of all, I walk in the room, and there's like a mirror above my bed, and I'm like, okay.
So they got your
mirror above my
request.
bed.
Perfect. Check.
Oh, I'm brushing my teeth, and all of a sudden I hear this. I'm like, what the fuck? What is happening? I'm looking around my room, and I go to the window. It's not open. And I look down, and there's a hot tub directly down beneath me, and there are 2 people going at it. And I'm like, oh my God, that's. Go turn off the light. And I'm just like brushing my teeth, watching my re-show. I'm like, it was like nothing I've ever seen. There were like the most disgusting guys walking around with a ring around
Right.
something or another, just cruising. I mean, people you don't want to see naked.
Yeah, that's usually
Yeah.
how it
Are
works.
naked.
Yeah, that's
That
usually
was
how-
my take at hedonism. It was like because they had a naked pool,
Ugh.
like you had to be naked, and then the normal, and it was like, but the people around the naked, it was like, oh, I don't really want to see that.
Lot of excess skin.
No,
Yeah.
like
But-
the swingers were just like all out. Tiffany and I got these giant sumo suits on because we're like, oh, this is going to be great for TV. So we go in the exercise room. We're in these. We didn't realize, like probably 500 naked people had gotten in these sumo suits. So it literally smelled like dead animals when we took those out. We were sweating. It was just. But we ran around the whole resort we went through the lunch line with the sumo suits. We went through the exercise gym. We did everything in the sumo suits.
What's funny, I remember, we used to have those meetings, like our team meetings, right? And we would talk about countries we'd want to go to. Anytime Italy came up, the girls just went bananas. That was the trip. All the girls want to go on. Yeah. What about Italy just was so enticing? I mean, it's
it
it's
was-
romantic, I guess, but
It was romantic because the men they were they want to talk, they want to be with the host, I want to see the host, and the women were free and everyone was dancing and like we go to this place called Anamacora on Capri, and we bring him into this place and Tiffany is wearing. It's like a sheer top, but you can't really tell it's sheer until you turn on the camera lights, and then it's completely sheer. You can see your nipples, you can see everything. And we're running around this place, and every Italian guy is like, "Oh, my love, I love you." I mean, they're like all over Tiffany. They're all over me. They're like, it's like just being swaddled in love. Not like gross love, but just like so
putting you on a pedestal.
happy and like it was just the best feeling in the world. And we sang and we danced at that place probably for 5 hours. But I
Nice.
did want to bring one thing up about
Yes.
Park City.
yes.
Remember when we were supposed to do the bobsled run with Dan Cortez
Oh, yeah. We ended up doing it.
and he didn't show
Yeah,
up?
pretty nice.
yeah.
Oh,
This
that's
was
right. I've heard
famous
this story.
For who
Yes.
else
Yeah.
had a segment where the host didn't show up and you guys had to do the thing alone?
Right.
That show was just crazy just because it was such a .com boom. Yeah, but that was
Well,
awesome.
remember James Gunn? That was Troma's main producer at the time, and
Was
now
it really?
he's huge. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was with what's his name?
Oh, yeah, we
Lloyd.
shot with Troma.
Yeah, we shot with Troma. all the
Trauma.
time,
Yeah, the Trauma was a big adult film.
No,
No, he
it's
was
exploitation films.
it's the,
like B movies. Sort
Yeah.
of stuff.
Toxic Avenger.
Toxic
That's what I meant to say.
Avenger,
B
yeah,
movie,
yeah.
like Toxic Avenger. You knew the show had arrived at a certain echelon when let's say Hawaiian Tropic, which was a big advertiser for Wild On, right? I remember talking to someone at Hawaiian Tropic, and they said, "You come on out to Hawaii, we'll put on a Hawaiian Tropic contest." I said, "Well, we've been in Hawaii many times. We're looking for other places." Like, no, but we have facilities there. We'll just create a Miss Hawaiian Tropic for Wild On. In other words, we're not going to just have one. We're going to create one as if we were going to do it just organically, but we're doing it for you guys so you can do behind the scenes of it and, get a couple segments out of it. That's when you knew, like, oh, we're kind of calling the shots here, not the other way around.
Right.
We reached that point in the show where advertisers would come to you to create content, which is both it's a double-edged sword, because you can get the yacht, you can get, like you said, the things in Italy that you want, but you're also beholden to kind of, if it's not going well, you're stuck with this segment that they're going to expect at least several minutes of airtime. And so that's when you kind of started noticing a shift of, like, how much of this is us discovering things culturally about these places versus a trade out or something set up for us to get content. And Cuervo Gold was a huge advertiser, and when I was in the Virgin Islands, the Cuervo Gold island was right offshore, and they literally bought an island. And it's turned over many times. Other billionaires have bought it, I think, since then. But at the time, Cuervo Gold owned it. And you would enter Cuervo Gold contests, and they would fly you into the island with other people from around the country, and you'd have like a big blowout weekend. And so they created that blowout weekend around our shooting there. They're like, "Oh, you're going to be in BVI? We'll be there. July 6th? Perfect. We'll tell everyone July 6th. Hope you work well with a hangover, because we're going to go out the night before and get you fucked up." So he's further cementing that bond with us, right, the night before. I'm like, I love these guys, and life, we'll give a year's supply of Cuervo. Great.
Yeah.
The next day, show up, and it was the cheesiest shoot.
Yeah.
And it's the Jello shots off the belly, and people getting drunk at like 11 a.m., 12. People breaking up. Again, like, this has gone south in a way I wasn't really expecting,
Well, you broke me in. I talked about this in the first episode.
I broke you?
You broke me.
No, that was my department. You broke us.
Yeah.
No.
We were in Sundance, and you, me, and Tiffany in it was called the Spur on Main Street, and you were Tiffany's. She's showing her boobs, basically. Anybody who will give her a shot. And I was just like, I'm going to get fired. I'm going to get pulled into HR. Like, what am I doing? And I just came across a photo that I have of it where I'm literally just awkwardly, like, looking at Yumi and Tiffany. Tiffany's showing her breastises. And, and then we went to a taping. You remember this? We went to a taping of Night Calls, you and I think, like, when we got back. And I got to see all of Tiffany. I wasn't expecting that. Yeah. But she's such a sweetheart and just so awesome to work with.
That picture was in GQ magazine.
Was it really?
You were giving that awkward, like, and then I'm
not looking cool.
I'm like, oh, and Tiffany's like, wee, and that picture is infamous. I still have it.
We thankfully have one of our favorite co-hosts who appeared in many of our shows, Tiffany Granath.
Woohoo!
Living firecracker. Tiffany Granath.
A redheaded firecracker.
Redheaded firecracker. No, she was one of our favorites. I loved working with you just because I remember meeting you in Sundance, and you just immediately popped. You had so much personality. You're wearing that little pink jumpsuit, if you recall.
Do I? I remember that one. In fact, I think I still have it. How scary is that?
That's great.
It's a memory.
And Larissa befriended you, I know. And but tell us your experience about one, finding Playboy, how that came about, and also how you came about to working with us so much. What was like kind of the first introduction with us?
Well, finding Playboy, that's crazy because I'd done some little Playboy stuff, but they had a show and I auditioned. It was called Night Calls. So I was on a show called Night Calls, which was a live call-in show at the time. So you can imagine you had to be quick on your feet and you never knew what you were going to get. So that was fun. How we found, or you found us, is our good friend. We call him Tootie. Here's another nickname. His name was Scott. The publicist, he intertwined you guys with Playboy. And voila, I was hosting that show. And he just happened to say, wow, I wonder if Tiff could do something like this. And you guys liked me, I think. I think you really liked me.
Oh, we did. No, because we had we worked with a lot of models, other playmates, but not all could look lovely and talk.
Walk and talk.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
And no, you were awesome, and I know.
And
You guys,
be
that just
funny.
made my
Yeah,
day.
and you were funny. Yeah,
Okay.
that's it
All
was great.
right. I'm
You know, it's always great when as a producer when you have somebody that can just here's the mic, go.
Yeah.
And you were definitely one of those
Oh,
people.
Because you'd approach
Yeah, I think-
anybody. Like,
Yeah.
you had no fear. You were like, because you knew you could make a comedic moment out of any of it.
Yeah.
well, that's so nice. I'm really blushing. I'll tell you, that's the thing. You guys would just, it was kind of like, here we go. Here's the crowd. Let's go get it.
Now, do
You
you
know?
remember how we got the idea? Like, we were waiting in line, I think, in Park City to get into
Oh,
clubs. And did you come up with the idea, like I'm just going to show 'em my cans to get in? Was that your idea? Whose idea was that?
okay. First of all, you're E, wild on, okay? I'm Playboy. We don't do lines. That's not cool, man. That's not how we roll. So I'm thinking, what's an easy way to just like shock somebody, show the can? So I pulled out the nins. I was just like, well, how about this? How about this? Suck on this. Are you gonna like deny me? And I think, well, I clearly suck on this, but I mean, and I think the doors open wide, if I'm not mistaken. Did it get us in?
It,
Yes.
Oh
it
yeah.
got us in, and you shocked Sean. There's
Oh my
that
God, that was
famous
my first
picture.
shoot, Tiffany, and because I was
Yeah, I
working on
mean,
a True Hollywood Story at the time, and I transitioned
oh,
over to Wild On, very different vibe, and I still have photos of this. I was just looking up the other day of you, me, and Larissa in a 3-shot. You are topless, or you're showing the girls, and I've got a.
yeah.
I don't know if it was you or Larissa was passing me whiskey shots, and I have just the most awkward look in my face. Like, do I smile? I'm like, am I getting fired Monday? What's gonna happen?
Yeah.
What is this?
You're like, is this okay? Is this a bad thing?
Oh, it was a
You know,
great
and
baptism, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, well, and you guys, I don't know, they say I had done that more than once in the shows, but I think that clip came up, I don't know how many times, and my mom's like, oh my, every time, like, oh, there's that shot again of your boobs. And I'm like, hey, it works. I was telling Larissa, I actually did that in New York City to get a free cab ride. I'm like, what's my problem? There's something wrong. Like, and I think the Playboy thing kind of jaded me a little. Hey, but whatever works, we do, correct?
I hear you, but I tried the same thing in a cab. It just didn't work for me.
Yeah. They actually kicked you
Surprisingly.
out, actually,
Yeah, yeah,
like right in the middle
yeah,
of mid Manhattan.
for sure.
You're so funny.
But you
Oh,
had,
that
I
was
think, Larissa, you had a
fun.
story you wanted
Oh
to.
yeah, well, I was telling them, all the trips we did. One particular
Yeah.
trip, Vegas, and this was kind of a weird memory because you would think that like all the attention the girls would get, and even as a female producer would be like, yeah, this is great, but sometimes there was unwanted attention, and remind them the time that Gene Simmons tried to lick us
Yeah.
nonstop in Vegas. It was
Yes,
so
I think Gene
gross.
Simmons, right?
Yes,
Things,
I
well,
actually
first of
remember
all,
that. Yeah, that was at Palms
Yes.
Casino. Yes.
You'd come within like 2 feet of him and he'd have his octopus arms out.
oh,
And like every famous person thinks, oh, attention by a famous person is good. It was really gross at one
Ugh,
point. It
and
was,
by the way,
yeah.
it wasn't his arms that he put out, it was his tongue. It was that long. So we got put into a lot of wild crowds, and you never knew what you were going to get. I mean, there's
what was
drunk
the
people.
wildest one, do you think, Tiff?
Yeah, do you have a favorite
Oh,
trip or most memorable trip?
I think, those Jamaica trips to hedonism, where you've got the wieners, and, I mean, and you're trying to be professional, but like as you're looking at the schlong, like totally start like inching up, and you're like, okay, he's getting a boner. And seeing the guy go through the buffet with the ween just rolling in his pubes, like through the food, and we're like, okay, we're not eating there tonight.
But
Park
Sean, what's the
City,
story?
Yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's right.
I,
Yeah,
You
what
always
are
had to
we
come
doing
back with a
there?
story, Tiff. Like, what's the story? What I know you're going to hedonism, but what's the beginning, middle, and an end? I don't know
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
if
where
you're
are
ever
we?
produced
Yeah,
that way.
You get
Yeah,
creative in post.
that's
That's
what
right.
editing's for.
Yeah,
yeah.
you start writing your way out of it. Yeah.
Because
We'll
I would know that
save it in post.
there would be things that would come up that weren't planned, and you'd be like, oh, you got to get this. I mean, judging contests where it's like swingers, and they're just doing everything they can to win the contest, and you're like, oh, I've never seen 69 like that before. And so, so I don't know if that ever made it, into, into the wild one. So, but you know what? The thing is like, when the camera's on, you'll do anything for the, it's just crazy that you find yourself just going, wait, did I just do that? And you're like, yeah, you did.
I do
Well,
have
we
a
could have done a
favorite
schlong.
You worked for them.
story though. It has nothing to do with shooting.
Okay.
But we were at Hedonism and
Yeah.
and it was with helmet cam Gary.
Oh,
I don't
Gary,
Gary
what a
who's
freak.
it
Gary.
was just like
who was
this.
Helmet Kid?
Gary had his own show, and
On
he would
Playboy?
wear a
Yeah.
bicycle helmet with a flashlight taped to it, and was like
Yep.
the helmet cam guy who would go do man on the street type
From
stuff.
Playboy, though,
From
right?
Playboy, yeah.
Okay.
And we were at
Playboy, yep.
Hedonism, and we weren't shooting, but it was at the end of the night, and I remember you were on one side of me, and Julianne was on the other, and you were both naked, and I was just sitting in a hot tub with you guys, and I was like, holy shit. Like, oh my God, if I hook up with either of you, that's legendary. Like, I'm going to be a legend. You know, of course it didn't happen, but I
Wait,
just
and
remember.
how does Gary figure into all
I don't
this?
know. Gary was there too, but because his show was shooting while we were at Hedonism too,
Yeah.
so we were like covering it. But like Tiffany was there, and so was
Yeah,
Julianne
why
and
not?
other people, and so I don't remember what
And a
we
hot
actually
tub.
shot. I just only remember that moment of me being in the hot tub sitting next to you.
Tiffany, get that footage from Gary if you can, please. We need to see
Young
Cary,
Cary,
yeah,
yeah.
in that moment.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if he had it. I'm not kidding. And that helmet cam, he showed up everywhere, dude. And he got all the tits.
Yeah.
And that, I can't believe I was naked in the hot tub. I mean, but I'm just surprised because now my older self would be like, oh no, that is a walking UTI right there. I am not, back then I'd be like straddle jumping with my cooch just hanging wide open, like, you know. Now it has consequences like, I might pay for that the next couple days. So, but yeah, Helmet Cam's a freak and I love him for it. And I'm sorry we didn't hook up, man.
That's all good.
It's,
Yeah, well, I
but
remember dropping you off one night, Tiffany. I was like, I
Oh.
should have shot my, should have gone for it. Should have asked her out.
darn it.
Well,
But,
I
I
like to
mean,
keep in my
we
mind
got-
that you would have said yes. So. You don't have to answer
Keep
that
it
Keep
question.
that
professional.
fantasy.
Keep it professional.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
professionals.
Did we make out or anything?
Yes. No.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, okay, so there, we did a little something. But
No,
the
no, we
thing
didn't.
is,
Yeah. I was gonna.
no, those trips were the bomb.
They were.
Everything,
They're super
everything
fun.
we did was crazy. You guys we've been all over the place, right? All over the place.
Pretty much.
I was
I mean,
telling
think
them
about
about
that.
Italy on the yacht.
You had us do a little bit where we were in Ischia and getting mud baths, but it wasn't a mud bath. It's where they spray you with a hose and you're in a shower. So it was like you were being like you're going to prison. You're naked, bend over, they clean, and then they painted it on you.
That's
And I was
right.
like, watch it with the tits. I go, these things get around. The yacht was just a weird experience because I didn't know who was fucking who. I mean, like,
Literally.
with it,
Yeah.
literally.
I'm curious, Tiffany. You'd already been established with Playboy at that point, but was there like a symbiotic relationship between Playboy and Wild On that you experienced, and did one inform the other in terms of your career, or just like awareness? Like Playboy needed
Well,
more brand awareness, but still.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, along
no.
those lines, though, I was going to ask, it was that era of lad mags, and we got a lot of co-hosts or a lot of like talent that were either young, they're trying to outgrow their sort of adolescence. I worked with a girl
Yeah.
one time from Seventh Heaven, and so they're trying to rebrand themselves. But you were kind of at the other
Right.
part of that spectrum. So we were probably a bit more, I don't know if mainstream's the right word, but more terrestrial. And so,
Yeah.
what was your experience? Was it a good vehicle for you for promotion, for other branding, for other
No.
gigs?
You know what? God love you for saying that because you know what? Playboy, okay, first of all, I don't like, the stories are the stories of like, oh, I was so, it was horrible and I was okay, I never had a bad time like that. Um, but the E brought them like so current, man. It made it because a lot of people would think Playboy like, ooh, it's porn, it's this. And all of a sudden you turn on the E channel and there you are, and it's like very current. And look, they're totally okay and they're having fun. It's not this dirty thing. But for me personally, it gave me oh my gosh, it set me in so many directions because it just boosted my confidence. Like, you can do this. Just give me a microphone and wing it. And then, I started doing radio because who knows what comes up on radio. So it made me really be a natural for that, because it was like doing Wild On. It was like, here, take the microphone. And you guys trusted us. So for my life, Wild On, it changed a lot for me. It really did. It set me in a whole other direction, and also more TV friendly. I wasn't just the girl from Boy that gets naked. Like, look, she actually can do other things too. I mean, she still flashes her tits, because that's just she has
Never
that,
give that up.
that was can't give that up, but she actually has a voice. So
Right.
I got other gigs because of you guys. Those are like
That's
the
cool.
best days ever.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool. And there was less of a stigma then too. It was kind of like one informed the other. There was a blending of, we have to say it at least once per episode. It was clean, sexy fun that we
That's right.
did at Wild On, and so that kind of Playboy now seems tame compared to a lot of what's out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like
Yep.
that what you're, because we definitely used Playboy a lot. I remember because of that shoot with you, we ended up going to you invited me to the Playboy Mansion. I
That's
think we
right.
went to a Midsummer Night's Dream party.
That's
I
right.
went
That
to
was
that
my
too.
that
Yeah,
first
that-
Playboy
Those are the
Playboy.
best.
They
Yeah,
were
it
those
was-
parties. Sorry, but they were great.
They
Those
were.
parties were
They
amazing.
were.
great.
The Halloween party was awesome. That was incredible.
I had just met my now wife, and we weren't even engaged yet. And she found out I was, working for Wild On. She was like, "Oh, okay." She's a lawyer. Like, yeah. Kind of turned her nose up a little. I was like, "I've got to go to the Playboy Mansion." I got invited a couple months. She's like, "Wait, really?" She wanted to go and see
Right.
the grotto and hang out. She had a ball. She loved it.
No, and we were there,
You went
and there
to
were a lot of women who just wanted to be in that aura.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
And so I'm-
experience it as a bucket list thing.
Right. And I think, there are the stories, and I think some people have had bad experiences, but there were a lot of people, a lot of women there who were having a very good time and a great experience.
I wouldn't
and-
trade it for the world. And it
Right.
is. Think about that. Not many people can say, been there, been to the Playboy Mansion. Like, that is such a cool thing, bucket list, big time. And it
Yeah.
never was a letdown. I mean, everything you expect, the food, the costumes, the everything, it was all there. So like
Those-
what you hear and see is true.
And my big takeaway was the jars of Vaseline and tissues, like in every room.
The smells will never leave my
I don't think I ever got
olfactory.
in the house. It was
Oh,
really
really?
just more the grounds and like the monkeys and cages.
Well, I was
and-
with the video games were that
Oh,
like
okay.
arcade
Nerd.
thing was
Oh.
yeah, exactly. Well, I couldn't go in the
lived
house.
for Frogger. Frogger
Um,
was my favorite. But
I've got a great,
Yeah.
great Playboy Mansion story. Bringing a date to the mansion was never a good idea.
hell no. What were you thinking?
No.
Yeah, but I brought my girlfriend, now my wife.
Oh, all right.
Now,
See, we both
Okay,
brought
well,
our
that's
now
good.
wife. So
Wow.
Yeah,
something
brought
worked
my
out
wife,
for us.
and this is so we went as Luke Skywalker and Slutty Princess Leia.
Ooh.
Lovely.
And this is at a time when there isn't really the resurgence of Star Wars yet, and
yet.
it's before that's the new release of the original films, I guess, or the
Yeah.
original scripts. And
Okay.
you couldn't get a lightsaber anywhere, but you could at Sharper Image. And that was the one place where you could buy a working lightsaber. So I bought a working lightsaber. It made the sound effects. It was awesome. Had like heft. And we're walking around the pool, and this guy stops us, and he's like, "Oh my God, you guys look amazing." Again, this is how Star Wars is everywhere,
Yeah.
but this is
Yeah.
like we felt like I keyed into something because people were digging on it, and he's like, "Stay right there," and I thought I was in trouble.
Yeah.
And we watch him, and he kind of walks. We're kind of over by the grotto, and he's walking around the pool. We're tracking him. He starts talking to this guy in a mask, a rubber mask, and he points at us. And the guy just doubles over, starts laughing, pulls off the rubber mask. It's Mark Hamill.
No.
Wow, it's Luke.
It's Luke. Calls me over. I was like, "Oh my God!" I was so excited and giddy. I ran over, and I was like, "What do you
That's
think,
so
man?
cool.
What do you think?" And I gave him the lightsaber. He's like, "It's pretty good. It's pretty good." He's like, "This is way better than what I had." Little inside knowledge: his pants in the first film were actually Levi's that they just bleached out and dragged through the desert.
Oh, really?
Wow.
That's what he told me.
So
But
cool
but then I thought
story.
he was picking up on my nerd vibe. He was like, because you couldn't have a camera at the Playboy
Yeah.
Mansion.
No, right,
Found somebody.
right.
Yeah, they
Found-
have.
I was
Yeah.
like, "Who's got a camera, a camera
Professional.
phone?" Yep, I
Yeah.
found somebody who had a camera phone. Got a couple of
Yes.
shots. I still have them.
Perfect.
They're also- I'll show you
did?
those
Oh my
after this.
God.
And Yeah, but he's getting the vibe of like, all right, I got a nerd on my hands. I got to let this guy. All right, he's like, all right, nice meeting you, man.
You're gonna get laid. Get out of here,
Yeah,
kid.
but it was those incidents. To your point, it's just you turn a corner and you're gonna run into some celebrity or you're watching something, or some act. But it was just a unique time and place to kind of go, and I feel fortunate to
And your
have done
wife
it.
must be hot because they're really picky about letting.
Yeah, you
We
had
did have
submit
to submit photos.
headshots. Yeah.
Yeah.
Headshots,
She's
body
pretty.
shots.
She's a good-looking woman.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Isn't that, I mean, I was going to say, isn't that funny? But no, but there are girls everywhere. But then, if you're a civilian, well, you got to see what you look like there.
Oh
you
my
know?
God! For
Sure.
guy producers, it wasn't
Oh
that
no, there was
hard to
way
get.
more guys at the Playboy
We
Mansion
had
than
to
hot
girl
girls.
producers had to. I
Oh,
had to
yeah.
submit like a resume with photos and like a
Did you have
video
to show your
spread.
your ninnies?
It did not have to show my name. They were like, nope, sorry.
Do
But
tell.
Tiffany, do you have a favorite memory from the mansion or a favorite memory from one of those parties?
Well, you know what's so funny? I know this is going to sound so stupid, but a lot of the funniest times or the most, I would say, I was going to say rancid, but that's a totally wrong word. Like what? Like crazy times. Or in the bathroom. I mean, the
That's
bathrooms,
true.
remember? I
Were
mean,
we powdering our nose?
no, it was everything. Yes. I remember because back in the day, at some point, I was roommates with my roommate was Ryan Seacrest. And
Whoa.
we went to a party together and we couldn't get over the bathroom. So of course it was like every time. Now, just going potty, just going pee. I mean, just everywhere you look, there was just something. Like you look twice and you're like, oh yeah, that really is going on. It's so fun to like reconnect and with people who we do it together and it's what we did for a living and
Mhm.
it's just so much fun. We're so lucky and we're so lucky that we can still reconnect with each other.
Yep.
We're all
Yeah.
here,
Yes.
know?
Yep.
For
And
sure.
the boobs, they're maybe a
Yep.
little lower, but they still look great.
Tiffany, thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah,
we
thank
love you.
Thank you, Tiff.
It's been
Been-
awesome to
It's
catching up
been
with
a
you.
pleasure.
Thank you for your stories. We appreciate it.
You're
Um,
all wonderful. Thank you.
thank you
You're
very much.
delicious and I adore you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Tiffany.
Thanks, Tiff.
Love her.
I know.
She's
That's
great.
our Tiffarilla.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
hasn't changed at all.
No,
It's
I know.
amazing.
It's
you
great.
know?
All right. Next time on the Wildest Show on Earth, we'll talk about the art of Wild On. That's right. We'll catch up with our friend and former co-host Art Man and all our favorite Art Man stories. Next time on the Wildest Show on Earth, the rise and fall of Wild On.